I didn't expect to like that Christmas as much as I did. However, that being said, it's probably not going to become a Christmas classic on everybody's lists anytime soon. The movie follows a series of characters and their days leading up to, on, and shortly after Christmas. However, what probably describes this movie best is a line that was actually in the film itself, which compared Christmas Day to being a magnifying glass, and how, depending on what you associate with the holiday, it's only going to amplify those emotions when the day nears. And that is really what this movie is all about, how different people experience Christmas. It's based on the book of the same name and was written by Richard Curtis, who actually wrote and directed Love Actually. And it's actually pretty easy to see the similarities between both of these films, because both plots follow multiple different characters experiencing their own storylines that intertwine here and there. And in case you're wondering whether or not the author of the book thinks their work was properly adapted, Richard Curtis is actually also the author of the book. So they literally wrote the book, then 4 years later wrote the movie, which I actually think is pretty cool. Besides the writing credit though, the main point that I saw being advertised was the voice of Brian Cox as Santa Claus. And I think he actually did a great job here. And honestly, the Scottish accent with Santa Claus just came off as like so cool. And overall, as the character's actual portrayal, I really liked Santa as well. Maybe it's just because I've seen too many Christmas movies recently where Santa's on such like a high level, like Red One or Arthur Christmas, where he has a massive operation. But I really appreciated the Santa in this movie, which is just one man, one sleigh, and a reindeer. And that is only enhanced by how just nice of a guy Santa is in this movie. He visits a person's house, sees what they're struggling with, and tries to give them a gift that makes their life better. I feel like this is the Santa Claus portrayal I've been missing. However, that being said, I don't think Santa was in this movie as much as anyone expected him to be. Like, his part of the movie didn't even really show up till halfway through, and he was like barely in the overall movie in comparison to the rest of the cast. Frankly, I felt a little bit clickbaited based on Netflix's post and Brian Cox's name on everything. I thought that he was going to be in a much more major role, but he really wasn't. Not to say that this wasn't a good decision, however, as this movie is rightfully focused on the other characters in the film. So yeah, despite the poster, this movie is actually focused on all of them, and I actually really like what they did here. It was really interesting to see how other members of the cast responded to the earlier mentioned magnifying glass of Christmas. All of the characters are coming from very different walks of life and are also very diverse in just terms of color and shape, which I thought really benefited the movie, as it genuinely felt like a whole community of different people coming together for the holidays. That being said though, I think the amount of characters definitely came at a cost to the overall quality of the movie. Like, it wasn't so easy to segment each character into their own storyline because they so often bled into each other's, and I think that also had an effect on the overall flow of the story, as a few times while watching this movie I would like pause it to get a glass of water or something like that, and we were way earlier in the movie than I thought we were. Another thing that I think this movie struggled with was modernization. This movie very much wants to take place in the modern day, so that means there's actually a lot of uses of cell phones in the show. There's characters taking selfies, and there's even one scene where they're using filters, and it came off a little bit jarring to me in all honesty. However, it's hard to say whether or not that was a problem with me, the viewer, or the actual movie itself, just because so many movies skip out on the characters using cell phones. Maybe I'm just not used to seeing it on the big screen, because there's not exactly anything I can pinpoint on how they would have made the integration of cell phones more natural, so maybe that was just a me problem, I don't know. Also, on the topic of modernization, there's one character in the film which has a major part of her character being dedicated to being anti-traditionalist. It serves the story, but there's definitely a few lines that really felt like they were coming out of left field, especially in comparison to the other people in the cast. She's very much a woke teen stereotype, so there's very much going to be a whole crowd of people that don't like her or don't like the whole movie because of that. But again, she's really the only character like this in the whole film, aside from like a few random climate change jokes from other characters, which, may I mention, those climate change jokes felt way more out of place than her entire character. Switching back to the positives, the animation is done really well here. There's some really beautiful shots, and I love how the look of the snow can change from peaceful to problematic so easily. Not exactly related or similar, but a few of these scenes actually remind me of Jacob Geller's Fear of Cold. I love this half shot of the van and how light interacts with it, and this scene right here is a great call to the poster, or should I say the poster's a great call to this scene. Like, I guess I could critique how some liquids or how some hair looks in the film, but frankly, you don't even notice that stuff. It doesn't distract at all, and it still looks overall excellent. That Christmas practically looks like it came out of a major studio. Additionally, I think a lot of the characters were actually done well. There were some very solid storylines and heartfelt moments, and it did a great job of showing how Christmas is for different people, whether it's good or bad or a little bit of both. And also, as much as some of the humor didn't land, there was quite a few good jokes in there that got a chuckle out of me. I had fun. I laughed a few times. Overall, on my scale, I'm gonna rank it a 6 out of 10. It was really solid, definitely greater than the average, not just some animated slot movie that's coming out just to cash in on Christmas. It had some heart, and I really wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. It's a great movie movie to throw on in the background of some holiday party, or just if you need to put something simple on for your family viewing. But it's probably not a movie that I'm going to be watching every year. Also, I didn't know where to put this in the video, but there's these beach houses in this movie that look exactly like these beach houses from Chapter 5, Season 1 of Fortnite. I don't know, man, the Fortnite brain rot's real, I had to mention it.